So I got a call from the president, and I said, hey, you take his phone call. I said, can you do me a favor? I said, absolutely, whatever it is you need. He said, I need you to introduce Tony Clayton that wrote it. I said, you gotta be kidding me. He said, it's a minute and you have to tell the truth. I said, I'm out. I just can't do it. He said, but you're not under oath. I said, all right, I'll try. So, Tony Clayton. It's, if the people that know him, has his table here and knows him very well. Tony and I go back a long way. He claims my dad hired him, fired him some years ago, but our families go back a long way, and he's been a very good friend. I'll try to tell some of the truth. I see a lot of his friends are here. His wife is not here because he said she's heard all this crap before, and she didn't want to have to hear it again. But Tony is a graduate of Southern University A&M and a 1990-91 cum laude graduate of Southern, as he had all of my bar poop, and he cheated off of my brother Stephen to get that degree. Upon graduating from law school, Tony became an adjunct professor at Southern University. He then began a storied career as a prosecutor, beginning in East Baton Rouge Parish under Doug Morrow in 1992. In 2003, he was appointed as a special prosecutor for the 18th JDC, where, as you know, he secured convictions, many convictions, most notable serial killer Derek Todd Lee, and more recently Monique Kitts, who was convicted of second-degree murder of her husband in West Baton Rouge. In addition to his public service as prosecutor, Tony served in 1997 as a district court judge at the 19th Judicial District Court as appointed by the Supreme Court. Tony is currently affiliated as an attorney, not only as the DA, but attorney with his firm Clayton, Frugier & Ward, practicing in the area of plaintiff civil litigation and defense civil litigation. And more recently, in September of 2024, watch your pockets, he obtained the $219 million judgment. So on the way out, be careful where all your valuables are. Tony has many professional affiliations and serves on numerous boards and commissions. He's a member of the Louisiana State Bar Association, Baton Rouge Bar Association, Southern University Law Center alumni, and American Inns of Court. He's also served as a non-voting member of the Post-Secondary Education Commission and a member of the Louisiana DA's Association, where I've had the opportunity to serve and sit next to him. In November 2020, Tony ran unopposed and was elected as district attorney in the 18th Judicial District, where he serves as 3 parishes, Iberville, Point Capee, and West Baton Rouge. He is currently the chairman of Southern University Board of Trustees. He is married to Paula Hartley. He has 5 children, and I was told by the former parish president to let you know he's from Nats Alley, Point Capee, which is apparently something that's extremely important. But, so, to be honest with you, Tony is a character. Someone wrote a book once about a DA from Baton Rouge, and they said, you'd rather climb a tree and tell a lie than stand on the ground and tell the truth. It wasn't about Tony, but we'll see what he says here today, whether that's accurate or not, depending on what he says about me. But Tony is a force to be dealt with as a DA, but not only that, in the legislature. And because of who he is and what he stands for, he has supported a lot of really good efforts for the state of Louisiana. And I think you'll continue to see really good things from him in the future. Antonio Clayton.
Thanks, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I got my co-workers here from the west side of the river, but I'm going to cut right to the point. As I walked in, Mr. Ravenhorse walked up to me and said, hey, I'm Mr. Ravenhorse. I said, you know, I used to clean the hearse for Hall Davis and you guys in Armor All when I was in college. And I said, I remember this time I went up to Southern, Miss Lightfoot, I had just polished this hearse up, and I got a 2-piece chicken from Churches, and I put it on the dashboard, and I drove through Southern campus, Shane, and I saw this nice-looking girl. I wasn't married then, and I said, hey, come in, let's take a ride. She says, I'm not riding in that thing. I told Mr. Ravenhorse, I told her, you should ride now where you can see what it looks like, because next time you won't know what it looks like when you're in it. Let's cut right to the point. I want to bring up Chad and Lonnie Guitro. These are 2 of my top prosecutors. Come on up, guys. We're going to get right to the point because the time police here got a gun. Like, you go 1 minute over, dude, you get shot. But we are about to tell you will let you take a look inside the anatomy of a gang in West Baton Rouge Parish, Point-Key in that area. The sheriff here, Sheriff Renee Thibodeau, was the law enforcement officer who worked this case. But I'm going to take you into the case. You're going to see some videos. It may be a little profanity, not much, but you're about to see the real deal. And so sit back, put your seatbelts on, and I want you to ask many questions after this, but you will see how we indict our gangs. And if anyone takes part in that gang, a murder, anyone, we indict the whole gang, and you're about to see a whole bunch of kids who most of them are serving life in Angola. Even if they didn't pull the trigger, we just don't tolerate it. So sit back, Chad and Lonnie.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Chad Aguilar. I'm Tony Clayton's chief of trials, and just for a second, I'll tell you, when I was a baby lawyer, I had an opportunity to sit in the courtrooms in West Baton Rouge, Point-Key, and learn from Tony Clayton. And if you hadn't had a chance to see Tony in trial, particularly in a murder trial, when it can be real tense, that's when you need to watch him, because he does a lot of productive things. And to learn from him over the years, I consider that to be an honor. Secondly, I consider it to be an honor to be here amongst you all today. And what we're going to talk about, and I understand we're under time constraints and we have a lot of information that we're going to give it to you, and we're going to try to give it to you in a very efficient way. But the fundamental issue that we're talking about is what I would call the emergence of criminal gangs within this state, not just in East Baton Rouge Parish, but also in small communities like New Roads, Louisiana. And that's where we prosecute. We're in rural areas, and we're dealing with these loosely organized groups that wreak havoc on our communities. Not just havoc in the streets, but quite frankly, we're starting to see those same individuals wreaking havoc in our schools. If your child can't go to school in a safe environment, there will be no learning. So what we're going to do today, and I'm going to try to get to it, is show it to you in an unvarnished fashion. Real. We're not going to sugarcoat it. All right? So let's get right to it. Now, credit that to Tony. That's not part of my presentation. But I will tell you, the little black fella with the Martin Lawrence, that's me. And the white guy that looked kind of like Will Smith, that's my co-part, Lonnie.
Not my body.
And so Lonnie and I, we were the lead prosecutors on all these cases, right? And in Point-Key Parish, I'd say about 10 years ago, Sheriff Renee Thibodeau, who's sitting right here with me, one of our team members, if you will, partners in this journey, came to us and said, look, guys, y'all have been prosecuting murders, but there's an element that's a little bit different that we're seeing coming up. And I'm saying, okay, well, that's the sheriff. He thinks everything. But he was right. It was a little bit different in the sense that the groups that were forming were committing more violent crimes. Those crimes were being committed for the furtherance of trafficking drugs, committing violent crimes like robbery, murder, and we had to deal with it. So let me introduce you to what we had to deal with. The name of the group was Young and Reckless, YNW. That group wreaked havoc in our little city of New Roads.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
And so what we did, we brought them to trial. Each and every person you see on that chart right there, particularly that one in the middle, I don't know if you can see it good, but that's a young man named Daquan Johnson, AKA Quarter Baby. He was the person that we dubbed Hiller as our gang leader. He was the one calling the shots. He was the one that if something happened, he ordered it. If something didn't happen, he prevented it from happening, right? So there was an organized nature of what they were doing. So the first case that we had,
How many of them are in prison?
all of them,
How many of them serving life in prison?
all of them.
I don't care what they did part of the gang, they will die in Angola. And so my murder rate is dropped across the river. Keep going.
You'll see that Quarter Baby was the one that called the green light. In other words, we had 5 people we tried at one time. I don't know if that's ever happened before, but we sat 5 individuals at a table who killed a young man by shooting him 21 times in the threshold of his house. Quarter Baby wasn't there. His phone records put him somewhere else. So he felt like we didn't have a case against him. But in Louisiana, the law tells us that if you procure the commission of a crime, if you're involved in the commission of a crime, if you pull the trigger or make the phone call that says, go and do X, Y, and Z, you're just as guilty as the person that pulled the trigger. And we had information that he did that. But before we got to that case, just real quick, we had this case that emanated right here in New Roads. This is about 6 o'clock, I'd say midday, where a young man named Jaquan Batley walks into this grocery store. This video is about 2 minutes long. We're gonna go through it. I want you to watch what he does.
You're seeing a real murder about to take place. So this is part of the whole conglomerate of charges we brought on him. This was one of the first ones, and we went, put them all together with under the auspices of the sheriff there, and we convicted them all. But watch this, saggy pants, and this guy here, that's the shooter, right?
That's the shooter.
So watch it.
So what he does is you'll see he'll walk toward the road. Now, you would say, I don't like the guy that just got out of the car, right? Self, I'm walking to the road. I'm out of harm's way. I could simply go across the street to Quarter Baby's house, which is what they call a trap house. That's where they conducted all of their business. But you'll see he doesn't elect to stop or leave. He comes back, which in our law makes him the aggressor. You'll see the 2 young ladies, they hop up. They'll see that's another gang member that was across the street. What he did was he called the green light. He called the code red. He's the person that ordered him to come back. That's what the evidence showed at trial. What did he do? He comes back, he approaches him, and I'll let the video speak for itself. 6 o'clock, broad daylight, 17 shots, back and forth. He died right there at the little store we call the Chinese store. I'm gonna go to the next video. I'm gonna skip that one in the interest of time.
I did the job. Did you order the code red? Goddamn right I did.
We told that to the jury. He ordered the code red. There was another gang member right across the street, and he killed those people's baby right there in that road. Now you would think, Self, you kill somebody, you'd pay homage to the victims, right? Or at least you'd have something in you that says, I just killed somebody, I owe an apology to somebody. Or if you can't bring yourself to do that, you should just shut up. That's not what they do. They go back to the site where the murder occurred, prepared a rap video where the defendant who's in jail is a part of the rap video, and they say, free JJ. Listen to this, unvarnished. This was used at trial.
And they make lots of money off of this stuff off the internet because the kids watch this. They're asking me, us, let JJ out of jail for that killing.
And everybody you see on this video, we've in some way,
Watch
shape,
that
or
phone.
form dealt
That's
with.
JJ in the video from jail on the phone.
Gotta be so fucking trifling. Real big excitement. The police want to diamond. My brothers in the same lane. We don't fucking right with. I gotta know. My partner's at the nigga at the Chinese store. And if anybody will walk with y'all when I'm smoke. Dead man can't talk that shit impossible.
I'm gonna stop it there.
Now he's telling you they just killed him at the Chinese store and telling them how you did it, and they get money off of these videos because our children are watching it and they sell it. Making a ton. Look at the video there. That's JJ in jail. That's on you, Sheriff. I don't know how you get a phone in your jail. But he's in the video.
need to show that clip.
Okay, go ahead.
But if you listen to the lyrics, I zipped in at the Chinese store. My brother did it. A dead man can't talk that shit impossible. Hiller, that's powerful in front of a jury. It's not that you picking a random video and saying, I want you to convict this person because he's a bad person or you don't like rap music. That's not what we're doing. We believe in giving you a fair trial, but it's gonna be fair and we're gonna show and tell the whole story, right? So as a part of what happened, what we were able to do was show the context by which that murder happened and the fact that they had the gall to go back to that location and do that after what happened back in July of 2019. So, what does Louisiana law tell us? I'm gonna be brief. It says, the Louisiana legislature finds that the state of Louisiana is in a state of crisis, which has been caused by violent street gangs whose members threaten, terrorize, and commit a multitude of crimes against the peaceful citizens and in their neighborhoods. These acts, both individually and collectively, present a clear and present danger to the public as well as to the safety of the public, and it is not constitutionally protected. What do you have to do? Tony, you want to?
Right here, YNW, they are checking homes. They are checking black pickup trucks and white pickup trucks. This guy here is one of the gang members. He's checking cars and checking homes, and the owner had the temerity to open the door to see what they were doing. They lit into the owner, and killed their own guy. So you see him with the YNW laying there in his own blood. His own guys killed him.
Speak to this, Tony. You may want to talk on this. This is a part of how we were able to establish that a gang exists.
So you talk, they beat your butt. You talk, this is what happens to you. So we got all this video, thanks to the sheriffs and the TVs. They got that line in chat, y'all can take it from there.
So what we were able to do was we go to the sheriff, we say, look, we have a problem. State police comes to us, they say, we got to deal with this. People are dying, they're breaking into homes. So just as a point of education, this is the start. We present this form to law enforcement. They start to identify who the people are, who are the actors.
So if they got clothes, they got bandanas, they got guns, we looking to identify the gang and who's part of that gang. We listen and we monitor their social media so we know who they are because they identify like the Bloods and the Crips.
Once we're able to identify them through law enforcement involvement, we go into the community. The people in the community know best what's going on in their communities. The people that have to live through that sort of behavior, they know best. Quarter Baby's the leader. Tazante Davis is the guy that'll pull a gun out and shoot you in the head. Big Billy is the drug dealer. They know it. So what we did was we engaged the community. So they corroborated what law enforcement indicated to us. But if you don't believe the police, and if you don't believe law enforcement and the community, believe the actors. They tell you who they are. So what they do, they tell you what they're doing, and they're telling you that they're doing it while they're on ankle monitors.
Look at that.
Ankle monitors at work. Mr. Clayton, you want to speak to that?
You look at it and you're shaking your head. The ankle monitors, listen to me. At one of them, they took the ankle monitors off. We're able to figure out how they did it. You wrap it in some kind of foil paper to kill the signal, and Chad and Lonnie were able to put it back together and solve that murder. But look at this, guys. Ankle monitors mean nothing to him. Keep going with it. Because I can feel Todd, the police over here, ready for us to wrap up a little bit, but keep going.
Well, I'm gonna kind of move on. I'm gonna skip a couple. Now, this is an interesting one. This is a situation where the person that I'm telling you was convicted who didn't pull the trigger. Listen to this conversation.
Duke and Quarter Baby told on you. Like, yeah, you should. Like, man, he said, he told you and and your mama, when the police came over there, no one picked up Bill over there.
Stop it there. You and your mama told the people on that.
Hold on, let it go, T. I want them to hear something here.
And y'all told them. So when I put the on my mama, man, and then what those guys, he doesn't know.
Listen to this part.
Oh, you was in the gang?
Not me.
Oh, yeah, I know where you at. Oh, hey, I swear to God, boom, I know you was.
If N were to get them boys that green light,
You heard that. Now listen, that's the jailhouse calls. So I got some LSU kids and Southern kids, all they do is listen to jail calls. We got Ron Gaff with us, the former U.S. attorney. He's a consultant with us now, and he goes over these cases. He's interviewing some former FBI agents to help me even more so with this. So we listen to their jail calls, and I learned that from Hiller Moore. Hiller Moore had a young lady named Aishla, I forget her last name, but Hiller taught us to get into and listen to those jail calls, and that's what they're doing. He's threatening from jail. You and your mama were told them folks talking about us. So you hear me talk bad about me on the phone in jail, man. This is pretty bad. But go ahead.
yeah, they say Tony got the cameras over the trap house watching them. I'm wondering if Tony watching them on his camera at home. But so this is another case we had. I'm gonna skip over it kind of briefly, but it was another case involving YNW where a young man died in West Baton Rouge Parish, and they left him there to die in front of that house. Look at that, Tony.
One of those bullets smashed the bullet. You remember there was a kid several years ago, a baby shot at an apartment complex? Yeah. One of the bullet cases smashed that gun, so they're not throwing the guns over the river anymore, Robert. They're taking the guns and passing them on to other folks. And we were able to work with Hiller and the feds, watching these guns, and we're tracking them from murder to murder to murder.
Right, and we were able to get a second-degree murder conviction on the person that killed that particular guy that laid in that yard. We used phone records through CellHawk, which I won't go through now, but I can tell you that the cell phone records put us right on top of the defendants. This phone call between Quarterbaby, again, Quarterbaby talking to another defendant. Everybody get in trouble. They don't call their mama. They don't call their lawyer. They don't call nobody. They call him. He's the first one that they call.
Stay off of them cell phone, folks, because we listen to fellas. Here's another jail call telling us what they're doing.
And so at this point, I want to give Lonnie a second. He wants to make a comment.
So how many of y'all think you have the right to remain silent? Let me show of hands.
Judge Daniel?
You have the right to remain silent? All y'all, Chief Justice Earl Warren said you have the right to remain silent. How many of y'all have the ability to stay silent? That's the question. These boys have the right, but they don't have the ability. Thank goodness for that, because it helps us on our cases.
That's right. They talk through Instagram, Facebook, on jail calls. Even after it says you are being recorded, anything you say can and will be used against you. And Tony Clayton is listening.
I have a saying to them. I tell them, those who talk may walk. Those who don't have much to say will stay. And I invite them to the sheriff there. Tell them about this murder here. All these murders were committed by young and the reckless guys. But go ahead.
And so on this case, you're looking at a young man who got shot 21 times right there in New Rose, Louisiana by 4 different shooters. That's him. When we pulled it away from that, just to get away from the gruesome nature of that, look at that shirt.
They knocked on his front door, young and the reckless. They had a whole bunch of the gang members surround the house. When they knocked on the front door to show him the gun, he ran to the back door to run out. And guess what happened to him, man? They lit him up.
And guess what? That's your gang house. We are not in Kansas. So I'm gonna flip through real quick. We got some other stuff. I think we're about 5 minutes. We may have a little question and answer session, but before I confer for questions, I want to take a minute and recognize the people that are here with us. We indicated we got our sheriff. Sheriff, you want to stand up real quick? And he's been a partner with us, and we thank him for everything that he does. We have Becky Schutz, our first assistant. She's always involved making sure that things go well. Mr. Clayton has indicated that we have Ron Gath, he's consulting with us now. We have two very important people to me who help me to make sure that these cases are prosecuted properly. Trust me, this result would not have happened without Stephanie. Stand up. She's our office administrator in Pointe-Coupee Parish. We have Lisa Gyro, who was sitting next to me holding my hand in my first jury trial, praying with me that it came out right, who worked with us, and of course, brilliant Clayton is in our Pointe-Coupee office as well.
Let
I
me
wanted
show
to
y'all this.
recognize them.
These are the guns that these guys, Aubrey, show them. These are the type of guns that law enforcement we got to deal with. These will penetrate a vest, guys. So this is the real deal, and I appreciate you, Mr. Snake Snyder, allowing us to bring it to you real, but I wanted you to see some of the guns that cops use, and we take off the scene, we taking off these guys. So I'll be remiss not to talk about Hiller. Let me tell you something. Hiller is the godfather throughout the whole central part of the state. They meet on Wednesdays. Sometimes I get on the phone call, he has the feds, and he's telling us how to deal with these gang folks, and we're taking them on. They passed my tax, so I got all these people here because I'm gonna give them a raise, I guess, no. But I'm telling you, you got a jewel in Hiller Moore, and I just think y'all ought to empower me and give him that to do that. The name of that gang is Young and the Reckless. We got them all in jail. They just started up a bunch of new kids, 10 to 15 years old. What are their names?
Young and dangerous.
Now, and they call the Young and Dangerous. It's like dipping water out of the ocean with a cup. When we put them up, there's a new group coming. So.
We want you to take questions.
Oh, questions?
Anybody got questions?
I sure do.
Go ahead.
I'd love to be the first one. Do I need a mic? I don't think so. Afternoon, everyone. I'm attorney Rashana Hunter, and I practice a little bit of my practice area is criminal defense here in Baton Rouge, where I'm from. Hi, Hiller, if you need to still.
I know you got a question before you stop all that introducing.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, what you got?
So you talked about the crime and the gang violence. You also mentioned that the people that are affiliated with those gangs, whether they pull the trigger or at the scene or not, would get the same
Yes.
sentencing as the person who did pull the trigger. My question is, what about rehabilitation or in preemptive or preventative methods? Being from Baton Rouge my whole life, I know that some of these kids, they're all kids, don't see past their block. So what are we doing on the front end instead of?
Ms. Hunter, by the time you get to us, you commit murder, I'm called the prosecutor. You call the defense lawyer. You can bring that up. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm telling you, you stuck the life out of another human being, you forfeit your right to come around and come to me like, why wouldn't I be rehabilitated as a kid? I'm sorry, you're at the end of the road when you kill someone, period.
Even the person who did.
Yes, any other questions? I got you, I love you, but I gotta get to the rest of the questions. Who else?
Are you guys boots on the ground? Are you guys going to the community and trying to prevent all this killing and things like that?
So I can try to thwart these questions. I did a video today for truancy, and because I'll tell you something, yesterday in Pointe-Coupee, the first day of school, there was fights among these kids. They had pencils, all kind of stuff. So when it gets to me, I am not that guy. I'm not your psychiatrist. I'm sorry. I wish you wouldn't be here. But if once you've killed someone, you've adopted this lifestyle, I have to prosecute, period. Now, there's some cases where I'm compassionate. If these guys would have cooperated, the guy who knocked on the front door, who set the guy up for the back, he didn't kill him, you're just as guilty. If Lauren Prosser drives me to the bank to rob the bank, she and I both are guilty, even though I pulled the trigger. And then I kill somebody, and then she falls, she catches that. Sorry to pick on you, Judge, but I'm picking on Judge Daniel. Judge Daniel and I are just as guilty. So that's just the way it works. Any other questions? Yes, sir. I hope you got a good question. I hope you don't beat me up with yours.
How do we take this on the road? We got the worst crime in the nation in Louisiana, and it's embarrassing.
To Governor,
And recruiting people in business down here is tough. And how do we take this on the road?
to Governor Landry's credit, he called a meeting about a month or two ago, Hiller. He brought us all in, brought the FBI in, and he said, I guess I'm giving up the undercover stuff. They are working Baton Rouge now. So you seeing all this? That's Governor Landry, Hiller, and all those folks working. The problem is they're running them over to my side of the river. It was pretty calm over there. How am I, Mr. Shakespeare? Are we doing? How we doing? All right, so they're running them over there, and I said, you got to give me some money. Now, he gave Hiller yesterday some new ADAs and up the Shreveport, but they're running them over to me. And I'm sorry, Ms. Hunter, I'm telling you, the last thing I would like to see is a young kid go die in Angola. But I also don't want to see a mother grieving over some child because you have anointed yourself God and shot this kid and stood over him. They got to stop. We don't have that kind of killing anymore on the west side. Now, it may happen. And I talked to my detectives and said, it's time to put the heat out on them again, school start. I'm sorry, this is a business, guys. And they have invited us to play. If you don't want me to work, stop crime. If there's no crime, I don't have a job. Want to fire me? Stop the killing. Anybody else? One of you guys take this question.
Great presentation. Thank you guys for being here today. With the network that's intense network that you're talking about, and you talked about the cup gets filled as it is. What about you as prosecutors, law enforcement? Do you worry about threats upon you by these gangs?
When I first started, I'm gonna tell you, in 2004, I did not. But once I started getting into this area, I'll be honest, it crossed my mind. But in 2004, I swore an oath. And that oath said that we're gonna prosecute and enforce this law. I'm in it 20-some odd years, I'm doing my job. I stand with Mr. Clayton on this.
You know, I'm going to go speak, the sheriff and I are going to speak to these kids at Livonia, and I'm going to tell them, this country belongs to all of us. You have to put some skin in the game. But when you resort to this shooting and all, that makes no sense. So somebody has to stand up to try and talk. I'm willing to work with you, young man, if we can fix it. But we are a nation of laws and not of men. So we have to run this country the way we're running it. And the law says you take the life of somebody else, you forfeit your right. Lonnie, what do you think?
Couldn't have said it better, Tony.
Well, any other questions?
One final question. You and I do a lot of community things.
Yeah, we do. Renee has me, I go to so many funerals with him in church, and we went to the wrong funeral one day, and I started crying. He said, that's not the one, it's the other one. So, yeah, but no, we do a lot of community stuff. You got a question? Final question. Todd, the time police is on us. Yes.
What are your thoughts on the use of the National Guard?
You know, somebody asked me that question today. I think it's, if you have a city like New Orleans where the murder rate is completely out of control, I thought what Jeff Landry did by sending the state police down there had worked. So I'm a kind of conservative guy. If it takes the National Guard to come up there and say, hey, stop it, then we need to do what we need to do. Guys, we're in a crisis. And I'm gonna tell you something, I can't pay enough compliments to your DA. He has been the godfather to kind of show us how to fight this stuff, and we're doing it. But he is only as strong as you guys to help him and support him. I'm telling you, we are in a war with this, and I make no apologies about it. But Todd, the police, is rolling his eyes at me. Thank y'all for having us. He wants me to sit down. Thank you.